Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about that Magna release sword that Araya used in the last manga chapter. Over the last month and a half, I've seen some mixed reactions to the sword, and I want to go over a few of them in order to explain why the sword may or may not have been wasted, as we saw it in the chapter itself, because I do believe there is merit to both sides of the argument, but I lean slightly more in the direction of it not being wasted. And in today's newest Naruto Explain video, I hope that by the end of this video, if you're someone who thinks that the sword was wasted and useless, then I hope you've been converted to my line of thinking by the time you finish the video, which I do think is possible if you're willing to go into this video with an open mind. But as always, as long as it's kept respectful, I'm always open to disagreements in the comment section, because at the end of the day, this channel has always been about open discussions when it's manga topics, when it's opinion topics like this. Also, as a quick reminder, the chapter review is up on the channel right now. Chapter review editor locked in, maintained quality, got out a couple days late, but I'm gonna leave it in the description box and in the pinned comment for those guys who have not seen the review just yet, which I thank you for your patience and your understanding. So in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 19, the sword wielded by Araya that's infused with Shinki's Magna release chakra, it plays a pivotal role in the battle against Ryu, the Shinju clone born from Shinki's chakra. It's far from being wasted despite it being lost by the chapter's end. The sword serves multiple critical purposes that enhance the narrative, deepen character dynamics, and echo thematic elements that are found in samurai and Shinto storytelling traditions, especially samurai stories, which, even though Naruto's a franchise is a ninja franchise, it's used a lot of samurai stuff. So let's break down why its role was not only effective but also essential, and how its eventual loss amplifies its significance rather than diminishing it. So the sword, it has a multifaceted role in the battle. The sword, it is a very unique weapon that combines Shinki's Magna release with Araya's Wind release. It is introduced as a tool of immense tactical value. In the fight against Ryu, who wields that deadly combination of Iron Sand and Puppet Master Jutsu, the sword proves its worth in several ways. It's a defensive support weapon. It breaks Ryu's control. Ryu's ability to manipulate Iron Sand and forcibly control Sarada and Mitsuki's bodies, two of the strongest fighters of the group, the two strongest of the group. It poses a immediate threat. Araya's sword, it counters this by severing the Iron Sand threads, freeing them of Ryu's grip. This moment underscores the sword's ability as a defensive asset, allowing the team to regain agency and continue fighting. Without it, Sarada and Mitsuki, they might have been eventually incapacitated, or worse, they could have killed their allies. It highlights the sword's necessity in maintaining the group's cohesion. On the offensive side, it's offensive support. It neutralizes Ryu's advantage. Ryu's tactic of dispersing into Iron Sand to avoid full damage done to him by Sarada and Mitsuki and hide within the desert environment, it gives him a significant battle edge. The sword disrupts this by gathering the sand that is dispersed, forcing Ryu to reform his body against his will. This not only strips Ryu of his ability to evade attacks, but also levels the playing field in a desert setting that should favor him. Araya's sword, in particular the use of the sword, it transforms him from a secondary fighter to being the linchpin of the chapter. It allowed Sarada and Mitsuki to land meaningful blows, Sarada with the Chidori and Mitsuki with the Sage Mode Snakes. This showcases the sword's offensive power, proving it can dictate the terms of engagement even against a superior foe. The symbolic resonance is also there. Shinki's spirit is there in the fight. That's something that I don't see enough people bring up when talking about this chapter. So beyond its practical application, the sword carries a deep symbolic weight. Infused with Shinki's chakra, it represents his presence despite his transformation into Ryu. This ties into the narrative theme of legacy and camaraderie. As Araya and the team, they fight not just for survival, but for honor and potentially to reclaim their fallen ally whenever they do defeat Ryu. The sword becomes a tangible link to Shinki, suggesting that his will is enduring through his chakra, just as we're told in Naruto, Shinobi do what? Shinobi endure. It's a motif that resonates with Shinto beliefs about spiritual essence lingering in objects or action. That's why him sealing chakra into the sword is so important. That's why that CBR article is absolute bullshit. And by the time you guys are seeing this video, I'll have the debunk video, that CBR article, up on the channel. So narrative purpose is also there. It elevates the stakes and the characters. The sword's effectiveness is so pronounced by Ryu, recognizing it as the greatest threat, that he devises a clever plan in order to eliminate it. By summoning claw grimes and teleporting the sword away via one of them, Ryu demonstrates both his intelligence and his begrudging respect for the weapon's power itself. This moment, it is pivotal for several reasons. It highlights Ryu's strength and his decision to target the sword rather than to try to overpower Araya directly. It elevates him as a cunning antagonist. Work smarter, not harder. It also shows that even being born of Shinki's chakra, he fears the combined legacy of Araya and Shinki's teamwork, reinforcing the Shinji's threat level while validating the sword's potency. Because why did Shinki give Araya the sword? In order to, by his own words, expand their power, make it so they can better protect the Kazekage. Right now, Shinki's chakra in that sword being used by Araya's wind release is protecting every shinobi on that battlefield. It's very symbolic again. It also showcases Sword and Mitsuki's power, so that sword's presence allows them to shine. By forcing Ryu to reform, it creates openings for them to attack, offering a clear benchmark of their post-time skip abilities. Sarada's Sharingan enhanced precision, her ability to speed blitz Ryu, land the attack on him hard enough where even though it's not full force, it makes him go ow, showing that he had pain. And it's the same thing with Mitsuki, catching him off guard and doing damage that forced him to retreat. It pushes him to rely on overwhelming techniques like that reforming ability and even having to use the claw grimes. It is a shift from the head-on combat and things of that nature that we've come to expect with Boruto fights, in the manga in particular. And it's also him showing a desperate evasion. It underscores their growth. Again, something underrated about this chapter. It's not the sexiest way to show the abilities. It requires you to read in between the lines, but it is there. This would have been less apparent without the sword's role in exposing Ryu's vulnerabilities. We wouldn't have been able to see this at all because they would have been controlled. Araya's crucial combination and contribution to the fight, that can't be underscored. Though he's not the strongest fighter, Araya wielding this sword, it makes him indispensable, at least while he had it. His support role, it amplifies the team's effectiveness, proving that strategy and synergy, they can rival raw power, even in the hands of someone that much stronger than them. The sword's loss at the end of the chapter, it doesn't negate this, rather it raises the stakes. It forces the team to adapt and highlights Araya's resourcefulness up to that point. Now it's up to the team to pick up the weakness that Araya now contributed to the story, because he's now a liability. It also parallels samurai and Shinto storytelling. The sword's arc in this chapter draws inspiration from samurai and Shinto narratives, enriching its purpose within Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. So the sacred blade in samurai lore, that is huge. In samurai tales, a katana is often more than a weapon. It is an extension of the warrior's soul. It's part of the reason why I love Kenshin so much. That reverse blade is a reflection of Kenshin's sword, his vow to never kill. In samurai stories, the warrior's soul is imbued with their spirit and it's imbued in their weapon itself. The tale of Hiei features swords like Kogurasumaru. It is said to carry the will of their makers and the wielders into the battle. Similarly, Shinki's chakra in Araya's sword, it mirrors this, embodying his resolve to protect others, as seen when he sealed away Gaara. Its use against Ryu, Shinki's corrupted form, it parallels stories of warriors confronting their own fallen comrades, like we see with Edo Tensei, or their legacies having gone awry. Much like Musashi Miyamoto's duels against his former allies, where tools of honor are turned against their origins. That's a samurai story. In Shinto, kami and imbued objects, they go hand in hand together. Shinto belief holds that can house spirits, kami basically, making them sacred or powerful. The sword, infused with Shinki's chakra, aligns with this idea, acting as a conduit for his lingering presence. This echoes the myths of Kusanagi, a divine sword from the Kokiji that aids its wielder against chaos, which just happens to be a blade that either Sasuke or Orochimaru had. Can't remember which one off the top of my head. Also, Ryu's theft of the sword parallels the tales where sacred items are coveted or they're lost, only to spur greater resolve, like Amaterasu's quest to reclaim harmony after Susanoo's disruptions, where here what we have is the sword's loss doesn't diminish its purpose, but it sets the stage for the team to fight harder, embodying the Shinto value of perseverance through adversity, which, when you know it, shinobi endure. This is why that sword's not wasted. The sword's loss, it might seem like a setback, but it fulfills its narrative purpose brilliantly. It's a culmination of its role. It serves its intended function. It countered Ryu's Iron Sand. It supported the team. It symbolized Shinki's spirit before exiting the stage. Its effectiveness forces Ryu to escalate, proving its worth and ensuring that it doesn't overstay its welcome as a plot device. Basically, it raises the stakes. Like how a samurai blade breaking in a climactic duel, its departure marks a turning point, not a waste itself. That's why if you look at the Sasuke and Boruto versus Code battle, one of the things you notice is Boruto's sword is destroyed, and in that same flashback, Boruto takes up Sasuke's sword. That's why that was done. As I said before, Naruto and Boruto incorporate a lot of samurai elements if you know what you're looking at. That's why I keep saying, go into Buddhism, Shintoism, and when it comes to things that deal with Boruto, really pay attention to samurai stories. Boruto and Sasuke's characters have a lot of samurai elements. Even though Boruto himself is not on the battlefield, Araya wielding a sword in this way, it's also samurai writing. It also raises the stakes. By removing that team's trump card, the story now intensifies. You're now asking, I know I was asking myself when the chapter ended, how are they going to counter? The group now must face Ryu and potentially Matsuri's threat to Konohamaru without their key advantage. Is testing their resilience. This aligns with classic storytelling where heroes lose a vital tool, like say Excalibur's sheath in Arthur's legend, and it forces you to grow stronger. It's respect for its power. Ryu's deliberate effort to eliminate the sword underscores its danger to him, a testament to its potency. This respect elevates Shinki's legacy and Araya's contribution, ensuring the sword's impact, it lingers even after it's gone. In conclusion, I'll say this. So Araya's sword in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 19, it is not wasted. It's a narrative linchpin that fulfills practical, symbolic, and thematic roles. It empowers the team. It showcases their strengths. It has ties into samurai and Shinto traditions, very rich ties into them, all while setting up a future challenge. Its loss is a triumph that leads to a purpose, not a squandering of potential, leaving readers eager to see how the team's gonna adapt in its absence. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and checking out this video from Naruto Explained on the left, or checking out this video from my Anime Explained channel where I talk about non-Naruto content.